Deconstruct your spaghetti with construction bots. Copy and paste your designs to expand, or simply order 1000 legendary pistols from the network. Because why not? With quickly achieved bots, you can progress through Factorio with ease. But first, you need to understand how this most powerful mechanic in Factorio works. This video will explain you everything, starting from your first Roboport, through logistic groups to at the end conquer the late game with Spidertrones and robots. Like always, feel free to use sections, blueprints and subtitles with translation to English. But without any further ado, let's start from the very beginning. There are two types of bots you can make in Factorio. First type is the construction bot, which can be used to fulfill your building orders, erect blueprints, or deconstruct unnecessary parts of your factory. Other bot type is the logistic bot, which is used to transport items through your factory and to supply your character with anything you need. To unlock bots, you need to research robotics, but it's not that complicated because it requires just red, green and blue science. However, you also need to research construction or logistic bots, so you should have a nice refinery and good production of blue science to research it quicker. After you research and craft a few bots, you have to build an environment in which they can work. To build that environment, you need to use Roboports and logistic chests, but more about that in a second. Overall, bots are in my opinion the best thing in Factorio, especially the construction bots, so you should understand them as soon as possible. When it comes to bot related structures, we have Roboports, which are houses for robots, and 5 different logistic chests. Each chest is used for something different, so you need to know all of them. Okay, maybe not this one, nobody likes this one. But let's start with a Roboport. It's a home for both logistic, construction bots and repair packs. In Factorio 2.0, it can also request those items. What's more, it's also a charging station for bots, so you might need to build more than one in a high bot traffic areas, like your logistic mall. When you hover over a Roboport, you can see 2 areas around it. The large green area, measuring 110 by 110 tiles, is the construction area, used only by your construction bots. Bots within this area will be able to construct or deconstruct everything according to your orders. The smaller orange area, measuring 50 by 50 tiles, is the supply area used by your logistic bots and to connect different logistic networks together. While standing in this area, you can order materials from your network and place logistic chests, which will be used by both construction and logistic bots. If you want to build a large logistic network, you need to place Roboports next to each other at a maximum of 100 tiles apart, so their supply areas can connect and merge into one big logistic network. It's a good practice to avoid leaving any spots without supply area coverage in your base, because it can be annoying when you walk into an area without coverage or when you want to build a logistic chest in that exact spot without logistic coverage. Talking about logistic chests, here are all 5 chests that you can place. I will start from basic chest, which you unlock with first robots research. Red one is a passive provider and yellow one is a storage chest. Name should be self-explanatory, but let's dive deeper into it. Any content from passive provider chest is available in the whole logistic network, so you should definitely replace your normal chest from the mall to passive providers. It will allow your construction bots to use those items while fulfilling your building orders. Also, logistic bots will be able to pick up available items and, for example, supply players with them. Bots can only take items from passive provider chests, and when you deconstruct something, bots are not going to put those items back to their place. This is why you also need storage chests to provide your bots with some kind of warehouse. Bots can use those chests both to store items and to use them like they do with passive providers. Storage chests will store all type of items by default. However, you can customize it with a filter. If you set a filter to, for example, wood, bots will store all the wood and nothing else in that exact storage chest until it becomes full. You can use this filter to create a simple wooden poles production or use it in your mall to easily recycle low tier of belts. Just make sure to put some circuit logic on inserters, like produce only 500 belts. Bots will prioritize storing items in chests which already have that item inside, even so there is filtered storage chests somewhere else, so keep that in mind. To unlock active provider, requester and buffer chest, you have to additionally research logistic system. Out of those three chests, the requester chest is the most important and useful one. You can use it to request items from your system. So if you build like iron buffer, you can then request that iron to the requester chest. It's especially useful when you want to build a mall using only logistic bots. If you want to quickly set up a logistic request, just hold Shift and click right mouse button to copy a recipe and left mouse button to paste it to requester chest. The amounts might not be perfect, but it's very helpful. Another chest is an active provider chest. All items from this chest will be taken away by bots to storage chests in your logistic network. There is no many use cases for this chest in vanilla, but it's definitely useful to get rid of a belt contamination if you messed something up. Just place it at the end of the belt with filter inserter and belt will clear itself. You can also use it to take away nuclear waste from a power plant. The last and least chest is a buffer chest. It works both as a passive provider and requester chest. Bots will use items from it whenever it's more convenient than flying to original supply chest. You can for example use it as a supply chest to get easy access to building materials even if you are far away from your mall. I think we should also dive deep into understanding the construction bots. Once you unlock and craft these bots, they will greatly improve your building efficiency, which easily makes them the best upgrade for your factory. Plus, they don't complain about overtime. You can use them to build new structures, deconstruct stuff, upgrade belts and machines, or even input modules. First, make sure bots have access to building materials and place to store the constructed items. Then, you can make a building order by building while holding Shift. It will create a ghost construction, which will be shortly built by construction bots if it's in the construction area. It's useful when you run out of items by building or when you want to build something far away from a map view. But the most useful way to use construction bots is to copy and paste parts of your factory. Simply press Ctrl C to make a copy and paste it with Ctrl V. Bots will do the rest for you. You can also scroll through previously copied stuff by using Shift and mouse scroll wheel. If you want to redo your last action, just Ctrl Z or Ctrl E to redo the redo. The shortcuts are extremely simple to remember if you've ever used PC in your life. I think I should also tell you that bots have a battery, and whenever you build a huge construction, you should put a few more Roboports to recharge them faster. Feel free to deconstruct those Roboports after construction is done. Construction bots also have a building queue limit, so if you want to build something quick, you should not have 5 million building orders for your bots, because they need to loop through all the requests to build something new. There is a command to increase this queue limit, but it might slow down your game if you have too much stuff to build. By the way, now when I think about it, this might change in Factorio 2.0, but we need to wait for a patch. I will talk more about construction bots when I explain blueprints, deconstruction and upgrade planners, but now let's go with other bots. Logistic bots are not as useful as their construction friends in the beginning, but after you research some upgrades for capacity, speed and built-in infrastructure, they are becoming extremely useful. Here I'm still using old version of Factorio, but it works the same way as the new one. You can choose whatever resource you want to request and robots will supply you with those items. You can also automate trashing items you don't need, like wood or rough ores. In Factorio 2.0, you're able to set up group of requests and reuse them in multiple places. Like I said, logistic logistic bots are used to supply items to you to requester chests, Spidertrones or rocket silos. They just need a supply chest somewhere in the network. Many people dislike the idea of buffers, but they can work as a supply chest for your logistic network, which is very useful if you want to request basic materials. Since swarms of logistic bots consume a lot of electricity, you have to make sure that your power plant is sufficient enough to sustain them.
This might be an overkill.
It's also recommended to don't use them everywhere, because they are less optimized than belts and they might cause your performance issue. Basically, in every Factorio game, you want to get to bots as fast as possible, since expanding your factory with little slaves is simply a pure pleasure. To research construction bots, you only need red, green and blue science packs, so you should build all necessary setup in no time if you watch my tutorial for science packs and advanced oil processing. After you research construction bots, you have to somehow craft them, and for this I built you a nice setup. You might spot here a little problem. And by a little, I mean this design is complicated enough to need its own PhD thesis. And because of that, I come up with a simpler design. Assuming you have oil refinery built somewhere else, you can simplify your bot's production facility to something like this. It needs lube and sulfuric acid from the refinery, and basic materials which are iron, copper, green circuits and steel. With this simple design, you will make 13.5 bots per minute, which might look like a small amount, but this machine is supposed to work in the background while you negotiate for oil or do other stuff. The best feature here is automatic increase of bots in your network whenever you need more of them. The logic will look if you have less than 300 available robots in your network, and if you do, then the inserter will put more bots to the network. I'm not a big fan of importing blueprints from the web, but if you're up to it, simply grab this weird text from the video description, paste it here to import, and then use it however you like. To use construction bots in the most optimal way, you have to use blueprints, the construction planners, upgrade planners, and blueprint books. Names of those items should speak for themselves, but I will break them down with some extra tips. The most important one is definitely a blueprint. You can create it by pressing Alt-B and selecting an area you want to blueprint. It will open you a window in which you can edit blueprint elements by clicking on them. Change name, description, and filter what item types you want to keep. There is also the whole section of Snap to Grid, which allows you to make tailable blueprints. You can choose from two options. First is Absolute, which is the best option for big blueprints, like big city blocks, train rails, or huge solar panels. This setting will snap blueprint to global grid. Second option is Relative, which is a good option for everything else, like smelting columns, assemblers elements, oil production, and so on. It will snap your next blueprint based on the first blueprint you placed. With more complicated design, you might need to tweak some grid position, but in 2.0 you can easily do it with Shift and arrow keys. To use the construction planner, press Alt-D, then select area you want to deconstruct. Many people use it only in that way. However, you can customize it with filters. To deconstruct only trees and rocks, check out this option. Or if you want to deconstruct only a specific item, just put it into a whitelist. There is also an option to deconstruct just the tiles. Anything up to you. Upgrade Planner is accessible with Alt-U, and you can of course use it to upgrade stuff. However, you can also apply multiple filters to it. For example, if you want to switch from stone furnaces to something better, you can set up filter for red belts and steel furnaces. This way you will upgrade your whole smelting column without unnecessary upgrading inserters. Most mods support upgrade planners, which makes, for example, upgrading low tier of solars or assemblers very easy. With upgrade planners, you can also insert, remove or replace modules. Blueprint Books allows you to put all your planners to a single spot, which then can be easily accessible with Shift and mouse scroll. You can make topic-specific blueprint books, like terrain designs only, or put everything to a single book and call it a day. Books can also be filled with the construction planners, upgrade planners, or other books. Also, when you make a book, feel free to put it in your blueprint library, so it doesn't clutter your inventory. To access it, just put it on your toolbar. toolbar or use it directly from the blueprint library. Spidertrones are kind of a late game thing, but at some point you will reach them, and when you do it, you have to be prepared for the rapid expansion. After you craft Spidertrones, you should fill them with personal robots, fusion reactors, and request different building materials. This way you can create a building squadron of Spidertrones, which will help you build anything you want without even moving your character. You can move them from a map view and order them to build your blueprints. They also work as a little radar, so you have a preview of what is around your Spidertrones for easier building. When it comes to creating them, my recommendation is to build a main builder Spidertron and order other builder Spidertrons to follow it. This way it's easy to manage all of your building teams. You can either build multiple building squadrons for each building task, like mining outposts, landfilling, or wall building. However, it's very expensive, so at the start it's better to set up all requests on a single Spidertron and then copy and paste it with shift right left mouse button. For all the shortcuts about Spidertrons, just hover over the remote control. With this knowledge, you're able to expand your factory to enormous sizes, but you have to somehow power it, and the best way to produce electricity is with the nuclear power plant. Go watch this video or you will end up with a second Chernobyl. I also want to thank all of my patrons for supporting this series. You guys are rocks. So I can test if it— oh!